Like whether or not we have a shortage of truck drivers or people willing to undertake truck driving, or is it problems within the industry that are causing tremendous turnover, which make it appear that we have a shortage? So as I understand, the Teamsters in their master agreement have essentially detention time placed.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so what kind of turnover do you have?
We have, and thank you for the question. We have very low turnover, certainly less than 10%. I think it's largely related to compensation and having very good working conditions relative to the industry.
Okay, Mr. Spencer, would you comment on the independent truck drivers' experience with detention time and whether or not that's causing a problem for entrants or people moving out of the industry?
It is a monstrous problem that has actually cost trucking specifically as much as $3 billion a year, in society over $5 billion. But the way it plays out is it means driver work weeks are always going to be 70 to 80 hours and sometimes longer. Now, they're not always working all of those hours, but their time is being controlled by others. And the biggest bandits on that deal are going to be shippers and receivers. And I should point out that these folks, even now, in some instances, have the gall to actually charge drivers for late deliveries.
And how tightly are they scheduling people? I mean, that's the first time I've heard about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, Walmart started doing it more than a year ago, made quite a noise doing it. Having said that, the dilemma that drivers have, they're asked to work around everyone else's schedules. They voluntarily choose to try to stay out of traffic congestion as much as they possibly can to accommodate everyone. They don't have their time. The rigidity of the regulations sometimes forces them to do things that they don't want to do. Mm-hmm. But,
okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Chair, can I jump?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, the detention time is really key. I mean, the shippers and the receivers aren't regulated like the truck driver. So ultimately, the shippers and receivers can abuse the entire Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulatory Code and then ultimately try to escape liability, which would not be a good thing, because they're the ones that have put the pressure on these poor truck drivers. And it's really important that the shippers and receivers hold on to some of that responsibility, and it starts with detention time. We need to eliminate some of these late fees with just-in-time shipping, eliminate detention time. With ELDs, we should know and be able to figure out which are the major abusers. Thank you for the time.
Mr. Chairman?
Okay, yes.
May I add a comment to that? It struck me as I went on the ride-along that I mentioned earlier that while we were sitting there waiting for the load both to arrive and to be loaded, that I was getting paid, but the truck driver was not, which there was some irony in that. I also just wanted to mention and ask for your permission, Madam Chairwoman, for this study to be submitted to the record.
So ordered.
Thank you. There's a study from March of 2019 from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and Advocates does not have an independent economist, but we rely on the studies of everyone else, and I just wanted to mention this quote. While we do use ATA data to identify one segment of the trucking labor market, long-distance truckload motor freight, that has experienced high and persistent turnover rates for decades, the overall picture is consistent with a market in which labor supply responds to increasing labor demand over time, and a deeper look does not find evidence of a secular shortage. So I found that study to be completely telling.
Thank you. To the Pepsi testimony on the 102,000-pound truck, I think, in Canada, would that truck, I don't believe, would, even with 6 axles, would meet our bridge formula in the U.S.? Do they have different bridges?
Correct. In our proposal, we're only proposing the 91,000 pound, not the 102.5. Now,
okay. What would be the comparison of a stopping distance of a 91,000 pound 6-axle truck to an 80,000 pound 5-axle truck?
when we looked at the study shows that with adding the extra axle adds the extra brake, it's a 1 foot shorter stopping distance on that vehicle.
Okay. Now, of course, one issue here is reaction time. I mean, and without automated braking, I mean, do you support the idea that we should move to automated systems to, get the braking going faster?
At PepsiCo, obviously, all the safety features that we have, safety is paramount. Okay. So it's not just in conjunction of just reaction, but we've got to do more, and we have done more to add to our trucks all the different safety features, just like the collision mitigations, the lane departures, blind spot, the headlights, backup cameras, anti-lock brakes, traction control, stability control, and driver training. So I think all of that in conjunction enables a safer fleet, but it can't be just one or the other.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. My time's expired.